What's up, and welcome to Two Balls, One Puck, where we talk about the Buffalo Bills, Sabres, and Yankees. My name is Tommy, and I'm here with my brother Joey, and normally my brother Jacob, but Jacob is far away from us today. It's just me and Joey in the studio. Jacob's in Georgia at a Braves game right now. I mean, that's not why he went to Georgia. He's on vacation, but I think he's at an Atlanta Braves game right now. But anyway, it's just me and Joey right now. It's June 28th, 2023. It's a Wednesday afternoon. We're recording, having a good time. Joey, why don't you tell everybody how you're doing today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, sunny afternoon, which was a rainy, cold morning.
Smoky.
Smoky. Yeah, we are getting the smoke back pretty bad, and it was horrendous. I mean, I know the majority of the United States felt the effects of the Canadian fires for about a good week, maybe 10 days, and it's been fine since. I mean, honestly, woke up this morning on my way to work. I thought it was just really foggy, and it was honestly just smoke. So it's crazy.
You can smell it.
You can smell it. It's crazy.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, I'm sure most that are listening do, but we're getting the after effects of the wildfires up in Canada, and it's reaching all the way down here. I mean, we're not that far away from Canada, which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
2 hours drive from Toronto, pretty much. So 2.5.
Little, yeah. Okay.
It's not bad.
Closer for us to go to Toronto than it is to like Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I think, right?
Yeah, it is.
Or it's about the same.
Niagara Falls, Canada, is about an hour 45.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. But honestly, hopes and prayers and wishes of well-being for the people of Canada too, because we're getting the effects of this. We can only imagine how bad it's going to be up there, and all the people trying to fight this and figure it out, because it is nasty, man. Those wildfires are sweeping through thousands of acres, and it's not great. So
they're our neighbors from the north, bro.
They are our neighbors from the north.
We wouldn't have hockey if it weren't for them. What would we be talking about?
Nor would we
now?
have Tim Hortons.
Are you sure about that?
Tim Hortons is Canadian.
Yeah, I know, but it originated in Canada. Yeah,
I'd have to imagine. Well,
if Jacob was here, he'd look it up, but
know.
Jacob's not here. The structure of the show might go off the rails today because Jacob's not here. He seems to be our kind of leveler, our grounder, if you will. Joey and I just talking to each other is dangerous.
It can be. The first Tim Hortons was opened in Hamilton, Ontario in 1964.
Wow, look at Joey doing some research.
Checks out.
Big research guy.
So yeah, I mean, we talk about our 3 favorite sports teams here, and 2 of them not too much going on. I guess the Sabres. We've got the draft tonight, the NHL draft, and Bills is pretty quiet too.
Yeah, with the Bills talk, if you've been listening over the last couple of episodes, we've said it already a couple times, but the Bills are in the absolute pinnacle of their off-season lull right now. There's nothing going on in Bills land right now at all. So, the Sabres are hot. Draft is tonight. We talked about that in our last episode. And today, I say today, we're not recording at night for the first time ever.
It is.
We're actually going to do a off-season preview of sorts for the Sabres. We're going to just look at their current roster makeup and going into, the draft is tonight and things could happen. This could change tonight. We could see moves on the floor. But going into free agency that's starting on Saturday and see what moves of the Sabres could make, should make, won't make, might make. When they signed Taylor Hall, you remember the clip that came out of Terry Pagula in the back of the, he wasn't on camera, but it was the hidden candid clip. He's like, if we're signing this guy, we're not just competing for the playoffs here. We're trying to win a Stanley Cup.
Classic.
Oh my God, how that went.
And Hall just got flipped
south.
too.
Hall went to Chicago, Windy City, to tank with Bedard.
Maybe he'll get to play on a line with Bedard.
Probably. Actually, to be honest,
they don't have a lot of options.
It's actually not a bad idea to bring. Okay, if you're Taylor Hall, it probably sucks that you're going to Chicago, but for right now. But honestly, Chicago probably would have benefited from getting a veteran goal scorer to play with Bedard. I said Bedard.
Yeah,
Bedard.
I mean, you have to put
Bedard.
something around him. And honestly, even look at Zegras and Anaheim, and there was a little bit of some people picking up some slack around him a little bit out in Anaheim. Zegras,
right.
You can't have Bedard come into the NHL and have no one to play with. not only is that going to make him look bad, it could hurt his confidence.
Yeah.
You need to surround him with some good players. And I can't remember, look around the last top picks in the league, first overall or second overall picks, they got paired with some pretty good players. So I think it means a lot. So I get that. I don't miss Taylor Hall as a Sabres fan. I just,
it
not
was
one of those
it
guys.
was exciting. I remember when we did sign him. No, it was exciting because he was the number one free agent on the market. He was only a couple of years removed from an MVP.
Yep.
And in 2018, he was literally a couple of years removed, and it was exciting because the Sabres historically have never gotten the big ticket free agent.
This is true. We will talk more about Sabres in a minute. First, would like to just touch on the Bills real quick. Like Tommy said, not too much going on in Bills land. I bet you if you Googled Bills news right now, the only thing you'll hear about is still like the Diggs training camp stuff. So not too much going on in Bills land. We got the big, the GM and the coach contracts. We discussed that last episode. But things are pretty quiet right now in the NFL. So
I got a question for you then, Joe.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Favorite Bills moment from last season? You got one?
Favorite?
Yeah.
Favorite. I think the snow game was
Miami.
A riot. Yeah, just an absolute riot. And for the refs to have to stop the game and say to the fans, hey guys, if you keep throwing snowballs and ice on the field, your team's going to be penalized. I've never seen that before.
Funny.
That was hilarious. And especially after what happened when they were in Miami with the Heat, it was just a complete storybook.
The only thing worse than the snowballs coming down was in The Dark Knight Rises. Have you seen it?
Many times.
When Bane blows up the football stadium in the middle of the game. Where you want me to do my Bane?
Sure.
Did you ask me to do my Bane voice? Well, I thought you did. So.
No, you don't have to.
I'm Bane. Yes. I love the Bills.
Okay. Another one, Tom, if you were going to ask me, I think Diggs' one-handed catch that will be in replays and ESPN, I'm sure we'll see it in commercials and promos for the NFL, especially the Bills for years to come. That was a great one. And I think just watching our quarterback who can throw the ball the length of the field, hurdle, and stiff arm defensive players is just a continuous top moment or several moments for me.
The one-handed catch was Sigs's, Defon Siggs. Almost mispronounced his name there. Defon's callback. If you're a first-time listener, I said Defon Siggs in like our first episode.
Accidentally.
I'm sticking to it.
Yes.
The butt punt. Butt punt.
That was legendary.
Butt punt was good.
That was great.
The BP.
Yep.
And honestly, it's hard because personal favorite. Yeah, the Miami game was fun because I was actually on the road when that was happening, and I was trying to get. I had no coverage. Jenny and I were on our way to her family's Christmas in Knox, PA, which is just the only way to get there is the most just backwards, stupid,
back roads, tight, turny,
just like windy, poopy way that you can possibly go. We counted how many deer we saw, and we saw Vixen and Randolph. We saw Rudolph.
Randolph. That's Rudolph, the red-nosed neighbor. That's his brother. He's got a green nose.
We saw all the ones. We saw all the big ones, Cupid and Comet and Vixen and Dasher and Dancer and Prancer. But we also saw George and Dean and Mark and all the reindeer.
This is getting off the rails.
Anyway,
Jacob needs to hold us accountable. Yeah.
So anyway, do you think that reindeer eat the same things that normal deer do?
No, man. They eat like
magic. Do they eat magic?
They eat like rainbows and stuff.
A bit of dust for you.
How do you think they fly?
There's my elf running up. A bit
you
of
gotta
dust.
Stop with the voices. I think you've done 2 voices already, and
third time's a charm.
10 minutes into the episode.
I'll get another one in there.
We'll see about that.
So anyway, Bill's talk is kind of light, as you can see or hear.
Mm-hmm.
So our favorite moments from the Bills season are, honestly, it would be better if they would have won. I think if we would have beat Cincy, we would have won the Super Bowl. Just hot take.
Yeah.
I think we would have gone all the way. I mean, Cincinnati was the We lost to the eventual
They
champ.
were the much better team in that game against the Bills. Cincinnati was the much
big time.
better
Well, that's
team.
what I'm saying. If we would have gotten by Cincy, I think we could have done it.
I think that
maybe
holds
not
true to.
without Vaughn.
I think that holds true to the playoff game against the Chiefs when we saw the 13-second drive.
Can we not talk about that?
Well, it happened. So
Dude, do you remember you and I
the amount of
going
emotion
ballistic
that
and
we
then just despair.
The way that we displayed our emotions, it was unbelievable. We gave each other the biggest hug. We were jumping around for joy when Davis made that catch in the end zone. We're like, "There's no way."
We're like,
There's
we knew
no
we're
way.
going to the AFC
This
Championship.
is amazing.
We knew it.
And and then the deflation, no Tom Brady jokes intended, that came after that
I'm out on that, by the way.
it was heart-wrenching. I mean, I still remember the highs and lows of my emotion that night. But you know what, Tom? I think that we will be able to celebrate a Bills Super Bowl soon. I really do.
I hope you're right.
I really do, man.
I really hope you're
Out
right.
of these three teams that we know and love and that now we talk about on camera and on audio a couple times a week, they definitely have the best shot right now based on where the Yankees are at and, the Sabres on the way up. But the Bills have a legitimate shot. They are going to be Super Bowl contenders for the next couple of years, at least.
Year after year, the Yankees have been our one team that we can rely on to win.
Well,
No.
to win.
To be winners.
Yeah, to win.
Because, let's face it, the Yankees have not been sub 500 in... I would like to look that up. I know it's been like 30 years or more. I think it's been over 30 years since the last time the Yankees had a sub 500 record, regular season. But anyway, yeah, let's switch gears because football talk is light, and we're going to go into Sabres talk. Sabres land, we mentioned at the top of the ep, the draft is tonight. Round 1 is tonight. Rounds 2 through 7, the rounds that nobody cares about, are tomorrow. And it's like 11 a.m. It's just like this. They get to the point where it's just hilarious. They just like when they start, it's a big show for round 1, right? Mm-hmm. And then rounds 2 through 7, they just have they don't go up to the stage. They just cut the camera to like the vice VP of scouting, and he goes, well, the Sabres are gonna make their 5th pick, and they pick Yuri Kolich or whatever it is. And there's no claps. They just, okay, business as usual, on to the next one.
They just get like a text to like, hey, we just drafted you, by the way.
Right. Yeah, they just get a text.
Exactly.
I feel bad for the guys that are in the players that are there thinking that they're first rounders and if they fall the next day and then, or I don't know.
Yeah, that must be deflating. I think that they've got a pretty good idea of where they're projected. So it probably only happens with a couple of guys that fall out of the first round when they, you got to think out of the projected top, 32 each team, 32 picks in each round. You got to think that 27 or 28 of those guys knew they were going first.
Probably.
And
last
maybe
year,
a handful. There were some surprises.
There was movement.
There was.
All right, but what we're
Speaking of movement, do you want to talk about the possibility of the Sabres moving up in the draft?
I mean, if that's part of our
possibility.
offseason preview,
well, we've got the draft tonight, so I think we should at least mention it. There has been, I guess I would call them rumors. I don't know. I know Adam said he would be aggressive.
This morning.
He'd say he'd be aggressive, but, what do you think they do? Who are they targeting? I guess that's the question is who they must have a guy that they want.
Right.
And got their eyes on that won't fall to their 13th pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think if they're going to move up to get a guy, it's probably going to be one of the big names that we've mentioned because you're not going to move up from 13 unless you've got your eyes fixed on a certain player.
Here's my thing with moving up because you're going to have to give up more capital to move up, and especially depending on how many picks they want to move up. I mean, this year's draft is deep, right? If the Sabres are looking to get into the top 10, maybe, I don't see a world where they're going to get into the top 5. None of those teams are going to trade their first round pick. That's just not going to happen. The cost of that would be heavy.
Huge.
It'd be steep, too steep for the Sabres to worry about right now because the worst of the rebuild for the Sabres is past.
Mm-hmm.
And they went through the hard times. Adams built back up the prospect pool, and we're seeing the fruits of that right now. We're seeing it more, right? And that's a great question. If the Sabres were to move up in the draft, who would they really be looking at? And the only one, in my opinion, besides the obvious ones in out of the top 3-5, which they're not going to get.
No, you don't. No team's going to give up.
Is a Reinbacher.
Yeah.
if the Sabres genuinely felt that Reinbacher wasn't going to fall past 8, like past Washington, or 7, that's high to get up to trade up there. That's a steep price to pay. They would have to give up more picks, probably prospect capital to get up into that.
Mm-hmm.
But Reinbacher's the only one, in my opinion. I mean, unless you're looking at, because some of these other wingers that on some mock drafts are projected to go 6, 7, 8. Some mock drafts have them going 13, 14. The Matthew Wood, the Colby Barlow, the Zach Bensons, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, it's you move up to get Reinbacher, a big right shot defenseman who the Sabres are looking for, but even if they get Reinbacher, he's not somebody who's plugging into their lineup this year. The Sabres need a top 4 defenseman this year, and that's what we're going to talk about more in this preview. But
this is true, but yes, they do need that guy this year, Tom. But I don't think that obviously you want to say that you want to compete or have aspirations to be a Stanley Cup competitor. That's not necessarily realistic with the Sabres. They just crossed the gap of a plus 500 season and missed playoffs by a hair. Yes, great progress. You don't just hop right in and go and win the cup. We don't see that. There's a progression. You know what I mean? There's a true progression that it takes to get it.
Vegas,
we just saw Vegas. Yeah, well, Vegas still had that progression. They battled it a few years before they got in.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you think that Reinbacher is someone that in 2-3 years could be a genuine difference maker. Dahlin's not going anywhere. Power's not going anywhere. Thompson's not going. Our core is here to stay.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a very real possibility.
It'd be a great pick.
And
I'm not disputing that.
I do agree with you that
I'm
I think
disputing
if
the
they
capital.
are going to move up, if they are going to trade up from their 13th overall pick, I do think that Reinbacher is the one player that I see here because you have to know, Bernard's going number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Either, people have said Fantilli might not go 2, Carlson might go 2,
whatever, it's one of the 2.
might go 2. Those 4 are pretty much locked in on the top 5 per se.
Unless you're a believer that Michkov is going to drop because nobody wants to put their hands on wait for him or have to deal with the situation over in Russia.
Yeah,
so
understood.
But anyway,
we'll see, dude. I don't know. We'll see in the next time we talk, the next time we record.
Few hours. Draft is in 4 hours.
Yeah, but I'd love to see Adams be aggressive because for the first time in our recent or relatively recent, the Sabres are actual contenders in the NHL. And let's see him be aggressive. Why not?
If you finish a point out of a playoff spot,
you're legit.
You're there.
And so I don't know, man. I would love to see that. I think what Adams is going to do is he understands that this rebuild that was a rebuild and then, we're rebuilding again. We're rebuilding again. He doesn't want to take that step again. So he's going to do everything in his power to make the Sabres competitive for the next handful of years. And if trading up in the draft and getting rid of something or someone is what it takes to get there, I'm all for it. I really am. I'd love to see it.
I want to give props to Kevin Adams really quick before we get into the full-blown off-season preview here. When he took over, he was presented with a situation where, the previous 2 GMs, Tim Murray and Botterill. Tim Murray.
Did he do anything good?
That was Tim Murray. He traded O'Reilly.
He tried.
He traded for O'Reilly.
Things, yeah.
He traded for Robin Leonard. He traded for a lot of studs that weren't studs in Buffalo.
Yeah.
He traded for Evander Kane.
We've seen that, though, haven't we?
Remember that trade? Evander Kane and Zach Bogosian for Tyler Myers and Drew Stafford.
I still look back and I like that trade. Tyler Myers, I was never high on him.
Tough in Vancouver right now.
Never high on him.
Right on the Kelder.
So
anyway,
you gave props to Adams.
Okay, I give props to Adams because when he came into that situation, he knew that he had Eichel and Reinhart, and they were coming out of this supposed rebuild. And again, this was COVID, the COVID year.
Mm-hmm.
And he, said, okay, we're going to take one more legitimate shot with this core. With Eichel, with Reinhart, with Risto, right? And that's why they went out and they got Taylor Hall and they brought in Eric Stahl. And, it just didn't work. It didn't work with that core. And then they said he gave them a legitimate chance. He put a couple of more pieces in to that team to give them one more shot. It didn't work and they tore it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching interview after interview that Adams got about the Sabres not making any moves at this deadline and not making any moves at that deadline and not doing anything in free agency. And Adams said, you know what? I loved the way he always said this, and I don't know if anybody understood what he was saying. I'm sure plenty did, but he kept saying very cryptically that, we need to start building and getting players that want to be here. He kept saying that. He's like, we want players that want to be here. Once we do that, he said, we're not going to put ourselves in a position right now where we can't be in a position later on to build when we need to. And he was very cryptically saying, we're going to be bad for a little bit so we can build a core that wants to be in Buffalo, and then when we're ready, we can start spending in free agency and making big ticket
ticket
trades.
Filtering out the attitudes, filtering out the negativity, filtering out the players that didn't want to be a part of it.
Sure.
And
now look
there,
where we're at, man.
Those Sabres guys, they love Buffalo. They love the team. They love their teammates. And, dude, Alex Tuck, I swear, dude, Tuck would cut off 2 pinkies and 2 toes to be the Sabre. He
future
loves
captain?
Buffalo.
After Okposo?
Maybe.
Maybe.
And there's some,
he's
him,
very captain
Cousins,
material.
Darlene, they all have a lot of potential. And when you have your superstar, we see that around the NHL, they like throwing letters on superstars. So Thompson will probably get a letter at some point.
Yeah.
But
Darlene's already got one. Anyway,
you're very right. Give Adams a lot of credit.
I give him a ton of credit.
You have to, and I really do. I hope he's aggressive in this draft. I hope he's aggressive in the offseason, and I would love to see a competitive team. I love to see. I love the Sabres, and we'll get into the roster right now. They've got some great players. They've got some great.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it
because
we're. You know what? We give Adams a ton of props, and those 2-3 years ago, those comments that he kept having to make. You know what? It's finally paid off. It's actually time now.
It is,
where the Sabres are in a position to spend a little bit of money if they want. I don't think the Sabres are going to go. They're not we're not going to be the Maple Leafs, the Bruins, Vegas this year. We're not going to spend to the cap. I don't think the Sabres are spending the cap because
see a little money go out the door, man. We've been retaining contracts to hit the cap.
There's
floor.
more.
Can we?
Yeah, but not anymore. Those days are gone now with the Sabres game, which is awesome. But we do have.
Didn't we have Ben Bishop's contract last year? We did.
Bishop last year. I know
I'm
that
99% sure the Sabres had Ben Bishop on their payroll because they needed him to hit the cap floor.
I know dead cap right now. The Sabres don't have any. Christian Ehrhoff's buyout finally is gone. That's literally
been
12 years ago, 10 years ago. Anyway,
so looking at the Sabres roster, which is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, let's start up front.
Sure.
Okay. Again, I don't think the Sabres are going to spend to the cap.
No.
The ceiling, and also keep in mind that after this season, Peyton Krebs, Jack Quinn, J.J. Peterka, and Middlestat, if he's still around, all will be due for new deals.
Mm-hmm.
And as will a ton of defensemen, namely one Rasmus Dahlin.
Yep.
Okay, right? Owen Power.
Yep.
Okay. So that's why, money will come off the books as well, but I don't see the Sabres spending in free agency this year that much. I really don't, because they know that more guys are going to be coming up.
Yeah.
Let's see that. Olofsson, let's start with the forward core, okay? We're off-season preview, forward core, okay? First and foremost, we talked about it already a little bit, Victor Olofsson trade, potentially, right? That would, if they just trade him just as a cap dump almost, that frees up $4.7 milli, which is a good chunk of change.
It is, but that's a good chunk of goals. We've talked about that.
It's a good chunk of goals.
Yeah.
So, okay, up front, needs that the Sabres are looking at, needs that they need, and potential suitors in the trade and free agency market. We're talking strictly trade and free agency now. We're going away from the draft. What's realistic for the Sabres? What do they need? We've talked about it a little bit already. In my opinion, it's the bottom 6 role player guys. I think if they're going to add anything up front, it's that. I think our top 6 is kind of set, dude. I mean, Thompson, Tuck, Skinner.
Yeah, it is. If you're
Cousins.
calling Cousins, Peterka, and Jack Quinn our second line, which they acted as it, and for the second half of last year, they were, with Thompson battling injury, they were our most productive line. They're still kids, bro. They might have a sophomore slump. We've seen that. So I don't know. I don't think that we can count on Cousins, Quinn, and Peterka to be our true second line, which means and leads me to the point where I think we need a more competent, more offensive-minded third line, and then a true defensive-minded fourth line.
Okay, well, Casey Middlestat,
Yep, fantastic.
right?
We talked about him.
And then it leads you to believe, okay, well, if our fourth line, let's just say hypothetically, our fourth line is Zemgus, Okposo, and what? Krebs? Greenway?
Krebs, Greenway.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I mean
Where's
that
Jost in this?
Jost, yeah,
if
I
they
think
get him back.
if they get him back, they want Adams did say that they want to re-sign Jost, which I'm fine with. I like
loved him
Jost.
out there,
He had a
man.
good
He was
year.
a water bug. He buzzed around.
I think Hinostroza walks.
Yeah.
I think
I think Hinostroza will get picked up. I really do. And
Yeah,
I
forward.
think he'll be a depth forward somewhere. Hey, he might play with Bedard next year. Maybe he
Olaf's-
gets picked up by the Blackhawks.
Olafson's gonna get traded. I can feel it.
Okay.
If Adams can find a suitor, and I think plenty of teams would want to acquire a 28 goal scorer who can snipe on the power play. He's a good finisher. If Olafson goes, right, that essentially takes away that top 9 offensive threat that you're looking for. Let's say Olafson goes and the Sabres don't make any more moves, right? Then you're looking at that top 6 we discussed. You're looking at a third line of, let's say, Middlestat, Greenway, and Krebs. And then you're looking at a fourth line of Gergensons, Jost, and Okposo. Is that the forward core with a maybe Yuri Kulich in there? Or
Savoy, or
I don't think he's ready
no.
yet. Or did the Sabres look into free agency, possibly, at some, like my dream signing for the Sabres this year, up front, not their number one priority. Oh my God, I would love the Sabres to go for an Ivan Barbashev, who is going to command a lot of money because of what he did in the playoffs this last season for Vegas, and the type of heavy bottom 6 game that he provided. He's going to command a good chunk of change that I don't think the Sabres are going to commit to.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's my dream up front
Yeah,
to plug
and
into
you
the
look
bottom
at
6,
him, man.
dude.
He played 82 games and he had 45 points. So I think what you're saying is his value increased a lot based on what he did in the playoffs.
Big time.
Because, if he had a mediocre, subpar even playoffs, he's not even cracking the top, 30 free agents. But he proved that he can play both sides of the puck really well. Sabres need a guy like that. But, I mean, what's he making right now? I'm looking it up right now. So he currently is coming off making $2.25 a year.
He's going to make way more.
He's going to double
get
that at
paid.
least. He's going to double that, I think.
He's gonna
and
get
so
paid.
if you're going to expect him to play a bottom 6 role, do you pay a bottom 6 guy $5 million or 4.7 or 5.2? And if you do, that affects what you're going to do the next year or going after the big guy. So I think the player that Barbashev is, the kind of player the Sabres really need. I don't know if he's the exact one. Now, hear me out, Tom. Do you know who I miss and we could totally bring back? Erod, Evan Rodriguez.
Is he on the market this year?
He's a free agent.
Is he?
Yeah. He made $2 million last year. I don't know. I loved Rodriguez, and he was playing with Crosby, man, and he was producing with him when he was playing with Pittsburgh there. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but they do need to add up front. I don't think that
but
their
no, will they though? I don't think they will.
No.
Oh, I don't think they will.
See,
No,
so
genuinely.
hear me out. What I think that they're going to do is I think they're going to keep those quote unquote top 3 lines or 2 lines that we talked about, and then having Greenway and having Yost, Middlestat, those guys in the top 9 per se. I think that they're going to kind of treat the 4th line or that 11th and 12th forward spot as kind of like continuous in-season tryouts. You know what I mean? Maybe Rusek comes in, plays 2 or 3, see how he's looking. Maybe Savoy comes up and gets his feet wet a little bit in the NHL. Who knows, I think that's what they might do, and they can afford to do that if they structure the team properly around it. But I don't know. Some guys, man, just need opportunity. Really. Look at Krebs, what he did last year. He got the opportunity to play top 6, and he picked up his game and escalated it to an incredible level and became one of the guys that we wanted to see out there all the time. So, I don't know. I don't know if the Sabres, if they do hit the free agent market or if they, try to make a trade, I don't think it's going to be for a forward. I think that they are going to focus, which I'm sure we're shifting our attention to next. I do think that they're going to hone in on bringing in a very competent defensive-minded defenseman if they're going to make a trade or a bigger signing.
It's well documented.
Yeah.
Top 4, right-handed shot, two-way or defensive-style defenseman, responsible in their own zone, right? Plays the big game. We saw it with Vegas. It's all the rage. It's what wins. It's what's seemingly, even teams of the past, we've talked about that too. Your Lightning, your Avalanche. Look at the Lightning's decor year after year. They rolled out Hedman, McDonough, Sergachev, Chernak, Jan Ruda, Bogosian.
Bogosian was banging.
I would love.
Tampa.
People just hated on Zach Bogosian, but the Sabres
it's because he was supposed to be a Drew Doughty, and he never was. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he was. He was supposed to be. Where was he drafted? He was
top 3.
Yeah,
I think he was 3rd overall That draft, he was drafted by the Thrashers.
I know he was.
Shout out Atlanta.
I think he's one of a handful of players left in the league that was drafted by
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Check that.
I'm gonna check it.
Okay, Sabres up front,
3rd overall, drafted
I knew
over Pietrangelo. He was drafted over.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of guys.
That was 2009, right? I can name you. Ready? Here we go. 2009 draft, right?
2008.
8. Victor Hedman. No, Steven Stamkos.
Yes, you're thinking of it. Yep.
Stamkos, Doughty, and Bogosian.
And then Pietrangelo was 4.
Okay, so anyway,
yeah.
Sabres could run it back up front. They really could. They could run it back up front, but if they genuinely want to take the extra step to get into the playoffs, they cannot. They simply cannot run it back on the back end, which is where the Sabres have been very active. It is well documented that Adams has been very active in trade discussion for potential top 4 right-handed shot D. A couple of the names that have been brought up and linked to the Sabres recently is Brett Pesce of the Carolina Hurricanes, who is exactly what the Sabres are looking for out of a defenseman, right? The Sabres are not looking to acquire a Erik Karlsson type. Not that I would hate bringing in Erik Karlsson.
No, but
they're not looking to bring in.
We need someone to play good D, and Carlson's a 4th forward.
He's a little bit of a right. So Brett Pesce, though, you look at his stat card. Okay, projected WAR percentage, 90th percentile, projected WAR percentage. Right, even strength, offensive zone, 91%, which is awesome. Okay, but what's really, really awesome, in my opinion, is the penalty kill percentile. Right, 97th percentile on the penalty kill. And the competition that he plays against is 86th percentile, which means that he's playing in that high percentile of competition every single night. So Pesce's going out against the best every single night. He's getting matched up with your top line players most of the time. And the Sabres need that kind of player.
Yeah.
They need that kind of player. So Pesce is one that has been targeted. Now, he's got 1 more year left on his deal. So a trade for a guy like Pesce would probably also include an extension. The Sabres would probably look to extend him. He's 28 years old. I don't know if the Sabres are willing to commit 8 years to Pesce if he commands that. I don't know if he would. Maybe he'd be looking for a 4 or 5 year deal. But that kind of presence is what the Sabres really, really need on their back end. A big, heavy, defensively reliable defenseman with experience. That's what they need. So Pesce is one that the Sabres have been linked to, right? Another one that they've half been linked to is Noah Hannafin in Calgary, and former Hurricane, actually. So what's up, Pesce? Hannafin's a little bit more of a long shot, but Hannafin's numbers and his stat card are freaking awesome, dude. And I don't know if what's happening in Calgary, they just traded Tyler Toffoli. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. I don't know.
He said that he once they didn't want to extend him, he wanted out.
I don't think that the Flames are necessarily about to blow it up, but they did just trade Toffoli, and there has been more discussion. And Noah Hannafin it would cost a lot more.
Yeah. But he's a guy that you think that they could have a part of that core for a while. And I know that the Hannafin was kind of up and down on what people thought about him, because he was projected to be a superstar defenseman as well at one point.
Yeah.
And you see it doesn't always work out like that. Some guys will come into a different role. Makar, Dahlin, Hedman, these guys that are extremely highly touted. Quinn Hughes, they step right in and they're like, yep, I'm that superstar defenseman. Some other guys step into a different role, and that's exactly what Hanifin did.
Mm-hmm.
And he's good. I watched a lot of Flames game. I watch a lot of West Coast hockey during the year because they play late at night. I'm usually home the 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock games. I watch a lot of them because I'm usually busy at 7.
Mm-hmm.
I get to see most of the Sabres games, but Hanifin is a bully out there too, man. And he's talented. It's not like he's just lugging around. He can move the puck. He can move his feet. I think he'd be an incredible addition, but we have to think, what do you think, Tom, in your mind right now? You're Kevin Adams. What do you think you'd have to give up for Hanifin?
Well, let's see. Seeing the trade market right now, there's been some wacky trade market so far.
Did you see real quick the Kings got fleeced?
They got fleeced for Pierre-Luc Dubois.
They got fleeced, and then they signed him.
Velarde, Iafallo,
Are you kidding
and
me?
another prospect in a second rounder or something like that.
Do you think that was a good contract? By the way, I don't think Dubois worth 8.5 or 8.2?
8.5
for 8 years.
8.5 by 8, and I think Dubois. I think I've always liked Dubois as a player, what he can bring to the table. Off the ice, people don't like Dubois. He seems to be involved in antics, and he's demanded trades like twice now in his young career. But to commit that much money to somebody who is semi-proven...
Let me remind you that Tage Thompson just signed a 7-year where he's averaging 7.2, right?
Something like that, 7.4, something like
and
that, 7.6.
And he could legitimately be in the goal-scoring race for the next couple of years. And Dubois, he's a different player... Dude, 8.5 for him.
Thompson,
look around the league at guys that make 8.5. Dubois is not in that category. He's not, in my opinion. But Kevin Adams will never do that.
If Thompson didn't get hurt last year, he would have scored 50 goals and 100 points.
Yep.
So, anyway, Hanifin, what would it take? Good question. Probably depends on if the Flames are looking for NHL talent back or if the Flames are trying to do a retool. Because, would you dangle would the Flames ever be interested in taking a Olofsson along with draft capital? I think it would take a first round pick, would have to be included to get Hanifin, and probably a mid-tier prospect and maybe NHL talent to get Hanifin at least. And
I'm going to do something real quick, Tom. We're going to hit a segment of the episode that usually you and Jacob talk to each other. So I'm going to ask you a question and just count on your honesty. Name the Sabres' first pick in each draft going back as far as you can. So last year's first pick.
All right.
Okay.
So it's time for Joey's got to go. Joey's going to pee. There he goes. He's taking off. And normally, yes, I have Jacob to banter with, but... I'm by myself. I could just not do what Joey told me to do. I'm just by myself, talking into the microphone. Anybody? Hello? All right, I'll do what Joey asked me to do. He asked me to name the Sabres' first-round picks in orders, dating back as far as I can. Okay. So last year, play along with me if you're listening. 2022, Matt Savoy. 2021 was Power, right? Power? 2020... Oh, boy. When was Middlestat? Dahlin was 18. 19. Oh, no, that was... I'm thinking of Nylander, Alex Nylander. That was our first pick. 2021 was Power. So 2020 was... I don't know. Maybe I should go the reverse order. Here's one. Back in 2005 or something, the Sabres drafted a guy named Mark Zagrapin, I think it is, or Zagrapan, or something like that. I think that was the first pick. Oh boy, 20. Why is 2020 stumping me? Am I stupid? First round pick. Power must have been 21. Yeah. Was Osland? Well, our first pick in the first round. Because I think we had multiple first picks. Noah Osland was in the first round as well. Okay. Hey, Joey's back.
How'd you do?
I think I got 2 years, and then I went back to 05.
Okay.
So I went... Okay, obviously last year was Savoy. Okay. We had multiple first-round picks, though, last year, didn't we? Savoy, Osterland, Kulich, I think, might have been a first-rounder. And then Power was 21. 2020 stumped me. Was that? Because then, was that Quinn or Paterka? 19 was Cousins. 18 I got, that was Darlene. Middlestat was like 17, or Nylander was 17, and Middlestat was the other one. 16, 17,
Bro,
I think Nylander and Middlestat.
Do you want to know
How am I
what
doing?
makes me really happy, Tom? And I'm
Michael
just
was
seeing
15,
this, looking
Reinhardt
at,
was 14.
I'm just looking at the Sabres draft picks, right?
Risto was 13.
2019, Cousins was our first pick, right? 2020, Jack Quinn, JJ Paterka were our first 2 picks in the draft. So I just saw that.
Then I'm
How
doing
cool
really
is
good.
that? How cool is that, though? That's our
cool.
current, quote, second line. That's pretty sweet.
After 13, I just named a bunch of them. And after 13, it kind of blanks on me a little bit.
Reinhardt was 14.
I got that. Risto was 13.
was Risto.
I got, yeah.
Gregorenko, 2012.
Oh, my God, Mikhail Gregorenko. Okay.
Yeah.
Before we get into more of this, though, let's finish out. Let's round out since you're back. We've talked about defense. We've talked about the need for the Sabres to acquire through trade, possibly, more likely, I think. Right? Yeah. But, hey, look, there's free agents, too. There is a free agent market. I don't think the Sabres are going to spend. I really don't. But, I mean, Matt Dumba, would the Sabres take a stab? Would they take a chance at Dumba, or are they more willing to trade capital for a more proven top 4 defenseman? Did they go out of their way inside Dumba? I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Dumba had a bad year last year.
He had a bad year on a really weird Minnesota Wild team that like felt so good and also at times like so confusing.
Hannafin's stat card.
You're really
Is
liking
really
Hannafin, aren't
good.
you? The
It's
more you
all
look at
blue.
him, you want it.
It's all
Yeah.
blue. 92 percentile projected WAR. Dumba 25%.
So if Owen
dude.
Power can play in another level than he did last year, if he can take a progressive step, a step forward in every aspect of his game, in my opinion, I think the only thing that Owen Power was really behind the 8 ball on last year was his acceleration, his first step foot speed. He got caught and he got beat a lot based on that first step. But his stick work's incredible. He sees the ice so well. He's talented. It seemed like he had a muffin at times. He'd be in the slot with a shot. It wasn't. But if he can step up or at least play to what he did, Calder, he was a Calder finalist.
Calder finalist.
Rookie
All
finalist.
rookie team.
So if Power plays like that, and you're telling me that Dahlin and Samuelson's our top pair, and Power can play with a Noah Hannafin, we have to have some of the up there for the best top 4 defensemen in the league based on what they can produce. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I don't know if it's realistic because they will have to move some legitimate talent to get him. So a guy like Krebs is. Krebs in a lot of mock trades. Krebs has kind of been the one of the factors because he's now proven, he's talented, he's young, he has a lot of potential, but yet he's not cracking the top 6. So we'll see. I don't think we're gonna see. I don't know, man. I would love to see Hannafin. I really would. I don't know if we're going to.
Yeah, Hannafin would be like the dream trade pick that's realistic, right? I mean, there's dream trade picks that aren't realistic, obviously. But to round out the offseason preview talk for the Sabres, and we'll make this one brief because we're going to get into some baseball for a little bit, is the last position we haven't talked about. That is between the pipes.
Yeah. So as of right now, going into next year, shout out old man Craig Anderson, a much well-deserved retirement. He has been
awesome.
in the league for almost as long as I've been alive. Pretty close. He is tenured and then some. And he gave the Sabres a great couple of seasons, dude.
Yeah, he really did.
He really did. He was their best goalie.
If the Sabres didn't suck something mighty over the last few years, it actually could have amounted to something. Dude, Anderson, in his prime, people forget he carried the Senators almost to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2017, Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. He had a couple of really good years in Colorado way back in like the late 2000s, early
At
2010s.
one point, he was one of the best goalies in the NHL.
He was when
for
he
a
was with
couple
Ottawa.
years. Yep.
He was in his prime in Ottawa.
He was a superstar.
Really good.
Yep.
So anyway, but
Shout out to Kreger. So now looking ahead,
shout out to Kreger.
we've
that
got three
bald head.
We've got three goalies, and actually, I'm just going to start off by saying this: in the goaltending situation, I think the Sabres have a lot of potential at goalie, but if their team is going to be ready for playoff runs, are the three goalies they have right now the three guys that could keep up with the rest of the team in a playoff run? So we're talking about UPL, Levi, and Comrie.
Well, a lot of people. First of all, a lot of people would say, like we've been talking about, the Sabres' biggest offseason need to be on the back end. A lot of people would argue the Sabres' number one need this offseason is to address goaltending. More people would say that. I think just as many people would say that than as people would say defense, because you could say, well, with a goalie last year, consistently the Sabres could have been in the playoffs, and I kind of don't disagree. I mean, we didn't have consistent goaltending throughout the year between UPL, Comrie, and Anderson until Levi came around and Jedi mastered all of our faces off. The forces with that one.
Yeah, well, let me just read this, man. Can I read the quote from Adams?
Read it.
Or at least a part of it.
Can you read?
I am...
When's the last time you read?
A great reader.
I didn't know you could read.
That's a great reader. So I think that this quote from Adams kind of sums it up pretty well. So he essentially said that the Sabres legitimately have three NHL goalies. And so this is per a WGRZ interview that he did. What was this?
This morning.
This morning. Essentially said, hey, man, we've got three NHL goalies, and we've got Levi, we've got Comrie, we've got UPL. We've spent a lot of time nurturing, grooming, and building them, and we want them to compete. And so by signing or by trading for a number one goalie, you're not necessarily giving up on Levi or UPL, but you're saying, hey, man, we don't really believe in you yet. Levi showed us nothing but him being an NHL starting goaltender. He played, 5 games in a row? 6 games in a row? And he was great.
Okay. However, on the flip side, let me play devil's advocate.
Okay,
let me get my pitchfork out. Levi had a very small sample size. Can he do it over the course of a whole season? I don't know. So, here's my thing. If the Sabres are going to roll with UPL and Levi, and that leaves the question, what are we going to do with Comrie? What the hell are we going to do with Comrie? Because guess what? He kind of sucked last year.
Yeah.
He kind of sucked last year.
Yeah, and the Sabres defense
you like how
definitely
I say that
sucked in front of him.
They did.
As well.
They weren't that great. Comrie's got another year on the books. Not a ton of money that he's due. Was he owed like 1 point something or $2 million or something like that?
It's cheap.
So there's been talks of a buyout for Comrie just to get him off the books. It's not really a cap dump or anything, and we wouldn't really be on the hook for much money over the next couple of years to if we did that. I don't know if that's realistic. You could bury him in the minors. Tough to do. Tough look. I don't know. But let me get to my main point.
Get to your main point.
If the Sabres are going to roll with UPL and Levi, okay? If they're going to go that route and Comrie is not their veteran third stringer, and maybe he is, then the Sabres need to go out and acquire, ideally through free agency, a veteran presence like Anderson was.
Yep.
Like, imagine if we had a full year last year of UPL Levi and Anderson instead of UPL Comrie and Anderson.
Yeah. And Anderson could be there to groom, eat games when he needs to.
Okay,
yeah,
sure. So I look at a Semyon Varlamov on the block. I want over the last few years, you see the Anton Hudobins, the Yaroslav Halaks, the
Hudobin's playoff run was
the
funny,
Thomas
dude.
Grices, the Brian Elliots, the journeyman veterans that, find the goalie carousel every year, but they solidify the young goalie that's there and they help them move along, right? They eat games for them. They give them 20 games out, good, consistent games, right? So you either do that or more dramatically, which I don't think is going to happen if you're the Sabres, you look to trade UPL. But I think he's too young to give up on. And I do.
So this is Adam's quote. Ready? We feel we have three NHL goaltenders, which is a great thing to have. So we're open-minded whether we go into the season with 3. It's not an ideal situation, but we'll let it play itself out. But at the same point, I'm not doing my job if I'm not on every conversation around the league, knowing what's out there, what makes sense, and if there's something we think that will help set us up for sustainable success. Then we'll look at it. And I'm excited about the goaltending position in Buffalo.
The problem is with when it comes to the trade market, right? The Sabres have been linked very heavily over the last couple of months since the season ended in trade talks with, or not talks, but trade rumors with Winnipeg for Connor Hellebuck, Philly for Carter Hart, Anaheim for John Gibson. Those have been the three big ones because all three of those guys are most likely going to get moved this year, especially Hellebuck and Carter Hart are really, really on it, or on the trade rumor mill, right? I don't. The capital the Sabres would have to give up. I mean, to get a guy like Hellebuck, yeah. If the Sabres got Hellebuck, our perception on the Sabres being playoff contenders this next season would go up really, really quickly. They really, really would. He's a proven goalie who can carry a team in the playoffs.
He is one of the most dominant goalies in the league. But my rebuttal to that, Tom, is I will say that I don't think that the Sabres are in a position now where they need that superstar goalie this year. I think what they should do, and I do think this is what they're going to do, is see how this year plays out with UPL and with Levi. And if they get to the All-Star break and they're like, hey, this isn't cutting it, our team's playing great, but our goalies can't keep us in or win the games, then they might make a move before or at the deadline, but I don't think that they're going to do anything before because I don't know, man. I still love UPL. I think he could really be a great NHL goalie. He's shown some amazing moments. Let Levi and UPL play. And what you said, signing a veteran goalie, or if Comrie's kind of that quote-unquote older guy, to help groom, mentor, regardless, let Levi and let UPL get the reps in and let's see what they're all about with just the two of them. And then I think the Sabres might make a move if needed after that.
Yeah, but Joey, if their Sabres' next step is playoffs, do you think UPL and Levi are going to go into the? Is that going to get it done?
Hey,
Two early 20-year-old goalies.
I get what you mean, but look at the Knights. They put such a good team on the ice around them that I'm pretty sure you could have thrown any competent NHL goalie in between the pipes, and they would have succeeded playing in front behind that Vegas Golden Knights team.
Aiden Hill and Laurent Brossoit got it done for the Knights, but throughout the year, Leonard played. Yep. They acquired Jonathan Quick, who didn't play a second in the playoffs.
No.
Whatever. He played down the stretch. I worry about the Sabres being able to get into the playoffs with a whole year of UPL and Levi unless UPL shows genuine growth.
The last couple of years,
you need a vet.
Tell me the Sabres issue has been goaltending. Truly. We haven't had Ryan Miller to keep us into steal games like crazy in his prime.
Yeah.
But that hasn't been the Sabres issue.
I disagree.
Okay.
It's been maybe not their always primary issue, but it has been an issue. It's been a talking
issue, but it has not been the primary issue. I don't think
you said it yourself, bro. We haven't had a goalie since Miller, a true number one goalie year after year where the season ends and you know what? This guy's our guy next year. He's our guy. We haven't had one.
We have two of those guys that could potentially be that. Let's see what they've got. The Sabres aren't in a Stanley Cup, year after year. They're not in it right now. They just missed playoffs. Yes, I want to see them make it.
But we don't want to take a step back.
Understood, but it's not a now or never mentality. If the Sabres were losing their guys or if they were getting older, then yes, go get that goalie that can win right now. But they're still building. They are still building their core. And so let Levi, let UPL get their reps in. Let's see what they're all about. And if they're not cutting it, then make a move. Because there's always a goalie out there. There's some bad teams in the league every year that are willing to give guys up.
If there's a trade that hypothetically made sense for the Sabres to go out and get John Gibson or Carter Hart, I mean,
that would cost you UPL.
I'd make that trade.
Okay. If you don't trade Levi though, you can't.
No, I don't think you trade Levi. No. But unless a realistic trade.
They've spent the last 4 years grooming him.
I'm not saying you trade.
Yes, I know.
No, we're not going to start talking about trading Levi. It's not going to happen.
Well,
but anyway.
I think in general, the backside, our side of the ice, the Sabres blue line and in is the true focus for the offseason. I hope in the draft tonight, dude. Let's see what happens. Next time we talk, we might be talking about Adams pulling something out of a hat.
Ooh, pulling something out of it.
Sure.
Oh, I got a question for you.
What's up, brother?
Ready? As we get ready to switch gears, and we're going to keep our Yankees talk kind of light because we're going to try to wrap this up because Joey's got to go, and so do I.
We have lives.
We do have lives. Wait, okay, Joey.
Yes, sir.
Who was the Buffalo Sabres' second-round pick in 2006? Wait, they had 2 second-round picks. Actually, they're both funny. So,
did they play for the Sabres?
They did.
Did they play a decent amount for the Sabres?
They did. One. Okay, ready?
Give me a hint.
Okay, one is a goalie, one is a defenseman. The goalie played 153 games for the Sabres. The defenseman played 351 games. Wait, no, this isn't just for the Sabres. Total in the NHL.
06, dude.
Think about like them playing later on though if they were drafted in 06. This is totally random. It's hilarious.
Goalie?
It's just in front of them. One's a goalie, one's a defenseman.
Enroth's not that old, is he?
Bro,
Really?
Jonas Enroth.
Nice.
Who was the defenseman? You'll never get it.
Was he the Sabres
I'll give you a hint.
captain?
We used to make a joke about him on the back pad playing street hockey. Kill him. Kill him.
Oh, I still don't remember.
Because he sucked so bad. And we used to say,
I don't know, man.
Screw him. Kill him.
Who
Dump
was it?
Mike Weber.
Mike Weber. He was the Sabres captain, wasn't he?
No.
No? Okay. Well, Tom, before we get into the Yankees talk, which is going to be pretty brief,
Yes.
let's get in the third part of this trio of a podcast.
Jakey.
We are going to be
We miss
calling
him
everyone's
because
favorite brother,
we should
Jacob,
just
into
call
the
somebody
conversation.
else. We
So,
should call Annika.
Let's give him a ring and see what he's up to. Jacob, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Wait,
Welcome
Jacob.
to Two Balls, One Puck. My name is Joey Girassi. I'm just kidding. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. This is new for us. A traveling podcast, the first ever in the history of all podcasts, traveling podcasts. That's completely a lie.
Yeah, I was going to say there's
All
no
right,
way.
Jake, thanks for your time. We will talk to you later.
We just wanted to hear your voice. That's about it.
Thank you for having me.
Jacob, we have successfully talked for 55 minutes and probably covered nothing.
Yeah,
We need you.
We need
Sounds
you,
good.
brother.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, we need you. Things got really off the rails.
Wait,
Tommy
no,
did
we talked
two
about-
voice impressions today. He
I
did Bane,
Actually, I did.
and he did
Bane.
What was the first one?
I did an elf feeding a reindeer, and then I actually just did. I think I just did a voice from Shrek. I think I did the Muffin Man thing. But we only talked about the Bills for like 10 minutes, and we're 55 minutes into the episode, so that means we talked about the Sabres for like 40.
Or you were just doing voice impressions for that much time.
Also, Joey left, and I did Joey's Gotta Go by myself.
I did give him a prompt before I left, though. I had him try to guess all of the Sabres' first picks in each draft as far back as he could go. He did a really good job.
Yeah.
Jakey, how are you, buddy? How's Georgia?
Georgia is very different. It's kind of cool to experience the same country, different country feel.
Mm-hmm.
But as you two know, I'm driving, which I'm sure maybe someone can hear, but I'm driving from Truist Park, the Atlanta Braves baseball stadium. I made a solo trek from where I was across the state of Georgia to Atlanta to watch the Braves shut out the Twins.
3-0.
So that was an absolute blast. Yeah, it was goodness. That was a much better baseball game than
Jacob, how
Braves
mid
game.
and how unexciting are the first place in the AL Central at 40-42 Minnesota Twins?
To be honest with you, yes, but this isn't a Braves podcast. But that's a good baseball team.
They are
that's
very good.
That's the kind of energy that I remember the three of us just normally going through our games for a few years in the Yankee land, and that's not what we're feeling right now. But I don't know, every batter. I mean, I don't know what you guys would talk about with the Yankees, but I really would love to kind of.
We haven't talked about the Yankees at all, which we are going to try to keep this Yankees talk relatively short. We're approaching the hour mark of our podcast, but
my opinion is I think our Yankee talk should be almost exclusively Jacob.
Yeah, I was going to say
more or less.
Jake, what I was
Give him a
going
point.
to say,
You know what I mean?
is
And then I'll come up with a fun question for Jacob.
What I was going to say, Jakey, is that it wasn't long ago that the Yankees were the team that every team was like, oh, wow, this is a good team. And actually, when we played the Rangers, we were going through, and every guy that came up to hit, dude, their 8-hitter was like 312 batting average, 8 home runs,
Yeah.
42 ribbies.
That's how it was
And
today.
like, we don't have anyone in our lineup that hits that.
No, and it was starkly noticeable. I mean, the difference was just vast when I was watching from upper deck, but directly behind home plate, my favorite seats. The every single at bat from the Braves, Twins not so much, no shots fired, but kind of not great. But the Braves, almost every single at bat, there was an air of just like something could happen here, and it's not something that we feel, especially. I don't know. You said you haven't done much Yankees talk, but last night's game, as
we
of
haven't
today,
introduced the Yankees talk yet.
Okay.
We called you first. So we are
So,
officially
welcome to the
moving
Yankees.
into the Yankees segment. Jacob, continue.
last night's Yankees game, which would have been Tuesday, June 27th was yesterday?
Yeah, do you guys have any little pitchforks that I can poke into my eyes watching that game? I fell asleep. I eventually just went to bed. It was
Oh, it was horrible.
No, I literally fell asleep for the first time that I can remember. I fell asleep with the TV on, and I was watching the Yankees. And I do not remember the last time I fell asleep watching a sports game.
That's sad because this is the team that, I mean, even a year ago, but especially the last 5 years, we wouldn't miss a second of if we could help it. And now it's just doesn't feel like that, huh?
No, it doesn't, Jake. And, you know, our Yankees topic list was pretty small. When you just touched on the one of the few topics that we had was that it was an embarrassing game yesterday.
Oh my God!
And the Yankees the Yankees played a historically terrible Oakland Athletics team that had a 3% capacity stadium, 2% of them being Yankees fans, and they looked awful. The A's looked like a better team start to finish. And it was, you know, the only glowing or bright spots that there were in that game is Johnny Brito pitched a good game again, which is exciting. He did. He had a good start. And Volpe had 3 hits. So that's kind of cool. But otherwise, dude, Jake, what was your reaction of yesterday? Because it was not fun.
No, and I'll be honest with you guys. We can be dramatic. Yankees fandom can be dramatic in general. As fans, we just watch them take 2 series at home to 2 not Oakland Athletics teams. But if we're just being, ourselves chatting about how we feel about the Yankees, we know that the record and their potential to make the playoffs isn't as dramatic as we are talking and like the mood that is around us. But the feel of the Yankees team is that bad. It's as bad as we make it feel. The record, I know it's not quite that bad, but there really is just an air of, what do you want to call mediocrity or just acceptance to be just fine. And it feels so bad when you're watching.
Yeah.
It genuinely was disheartening watching Stanton swing at a pitch and do a nice dance floor spin out of the batter's box. And like Tony Kemp, it was Kemp at second base. If there's a play that was close to second, and I don't think he realized he probably still had time to throw Stanton out. It was just, I don't know, man, just things like that. And I had my Ratatouille moment last episode, and it's gone.
Jakey, can I tell you something cool, dude, real quick?
Did you just get a tweet from?
No, I just wanted to prove a point about something.
Because I have something fun.
But with the win that you just witnessed, the Braves just moved into first place in the league with the best win percentage, passing the Rays.
Really?
Yeah, they're at a 663 win percentage, which the Rays have one more win, but also another loss, which are 659. And so, Jake, just to echo what you said, it feels a lot worse than it is. It feels a lot worse than it is. The Yankees, as of right now, the only teams ahead of them in the entire league are the Dodgers, Giants, Diamondbacks, Rangers, Orioles, Rays, and the Braves. And then there's the Yankees. It feels like we're a bottom feeder because we're we're so used to this excellence that we see. But I don't know, man. It feels... Jacob, you just watched an MLB team that's put together and competitive, and that's not what the Yankees have looked like for a very long time this season, if ever.
Not consistently. We get the 2 games, and then we convince ourselves that we're like, you know what? This is a good team. And then it just goes away. And it's not... for the Yankees fans listening who are just kind of, maybe in on what we, more than half the games, it doesn't feel like we are being fair to to the record and to like the potential to make the playoffs. But as fans that are really tuned in, and anyone who's tuned in I think will agree with me in that we aren't being entertained, and entertainment is the reason that this sport is a multi-billion-dollar business, because it's an entertainment business, and the Yankees are not entertaining, and that's just kind of disappointing that we're in the entertainment business and bored during games.
Yeah, it's sad. When's the last time the Yankees had a laugher?
A
win.
Laughing
A win.
I was going to say
A
IKF
win.
has made a couple appearances on the mound this year during laughers.
When was the last laugher win? Was it Oakland?
Oakland, did they beat up on Cincy? They swept Cincy. They might have put a big one up there, but Oakland.
I just wanted to point out, man, that the Yankees right now are 20th in the league in runs scored. And
How about in the month of June? You know how many runs the Yankees have scored in the month of June?
not
Want to
a
know?
lot.
No, you want to know?
How many?
67 runs.
In how many games?
A month.
Yeah.
The Braves, I think, were first place when I checked, and this is excluding today's, but this morning I think I saw the stat, and they were at like 160-something runs. They've like tripled the Yankees' runs in the month.
So
It's
MLB wide,
terrible.
and this is including our MVP, Aaron Judge's games that he did participate, the Yankees currently have a combined team batting average. Guess what it is, Tom? On the year, combined batting average for the Yankees. And guess what they rank in the league? Jacob, you want to go first?
with including Judge, I'm gonna go. All right, 221 at 24th place.
That was good guesses. Tommy?
Yeah, I was going to say like 230, like 25th place.
They are currently third from last, 28th in the league in batting average as a team with 228. A 228 batting average. The only teams below them
That's
are
not
the
good.
Brewers
That's not a good
and
average.
the somewhat real Oakland Athletics.
That's not a good average.
Bro.
Right, Jake? That's
The
not-
Rangers have a 272.
That's bad.
The
That's a bad
Braves
one.
that Jacob just watched, 270. Guys in the teams in the Yankees division, the Rays 264, Blue Jays 263, Red Sox 260, and Orioles 253. And then at the bottom, New York Yankees with a 220.
Yankees need a left fielder. Aaron Hicks could be.
I heard Hicks is banging in Baltimore.
He's banging.
Jake, what do you think about bringing in that guy?
Oh boy.
He seems perfect. What, switch hitter, can cover the field.
Yeah. You know, you shave that
maybe-
beard and wonder what he looks like.
Maybe a Joey Gallo.
Gallo can
or-
rake.
Guys, I watched Gallo swing. I watched Gallo strike
Oh,
out
yeah,
3
that's
times
right.
today.
Did he strike out
Yeah.
3 times?
Did Correa get booed?
Three Ks. Correa didn't play,
Oh, that's a bummer.
and I don't know if he was even available off the bench because the Twins pinch hit 3 times.
And they
Three
did hit
right-handed.
for Correa with Correa.
And no credit. So
Oh,
I don't know. He
interesting.
might be IL.
Jake, you know who I think, and you might agree with me on this, that the Yankees should bring in that could totally still do the job? Left fielder can hit.
Is he bald?
Please,
He's bald.
please
He
don't say
can
that.
run. He's got more heart than anyone you've ever seen, and he hates the ceiling of the dugout. Who am I talking about, Jake?
Joe Drossi, our father, Joe Drossi.
Brett
That's
Gardner
it.
could still
That
play
was
left
it.
field, right?
More
He
Yankees. More Yankees talk to come on Sundays up because they'll have completed their getting swept by Oakland,
Please don't
and
say that.
we will talk about more of the Yanks. We talked a lot about the Sabres in this episode, but
As we were planning to.
we're gonna that was the heart of it. Jacob, all right. Before we go, Jake, who was 10th in the Yankees in home runs in 2017?
All right. Wait, I don't think that's too bad.
Oh
Let's
my
see.
gosh.
1. I'm gonna go with Aaron Hicks.
He was 7th.
Okay. Give me one more.
Do you want to try to just name the top 10?
No, because there's
it-
gonna be a 2 that there's.
In any order,
mean-
go ahead. In any order, go ahead. If you hit the 10th,
right.
go ahead. Obviously,
Judge.
number 1.
2017. So Gardner would be up there. He had like 29 in 2017.
He had 21, and he'd be number 4.
Top.
he
So
was
Ellsbury.
Ellsbury was not on the top 10. He did hit 7, though. and
Oh, not in the top 10.
356
Okay.
plate appearances.
What about Holiday?
Holiday was 5, 19 jacks. Loved him.
Castro?
Castro was 6, 16.
Okay.
You need 8, 9,
Didi,
10.
obviously.
There's number 3, DD, 25. You need number 2, 8, 9, and 10.
Number 2.
I'll give you a hint.
Who was
He recently
first base?
played. He recently played for the team one of the teams you just saw play, but he's not on them anymore.
I don't know if that's it. It has to be the first baseman.
The first
right?
baseman is number 10. The primary first baseman is 10th on the list. Well, he didn't play a lot of games, though he was hurt a lot. He didn't play a lot of first, but
So what position am I missing that had a big pop?
he was.
Center we got. DH was the DH.
That was Matt Holliday primarily.
I don't know. Give me 2.
Number 2 is
Oh wait, pause. Is it Gary Sanchez?
Gary Sanchez
The
released the
Kraken.
Kraken.
What's
Now,
he doing
There
these
you go.
days?
he's a Met.
I know he is. It's
All right,
disgusting.
and then do you want to take a stab at number 8, 9, and 10 really quick before we say goodbye?
I don't know if I have him because I got the infield. First base, I'm not pulling out. Oh, Greg Bird.
Woohoo! Greg Bird, number 10 on the list.
Then I'm missing a left fielder or center or left fielder. And someone
Wrong.
else,
You're
so I'll give him
missing
the
wrong. You're missing 2 infielders.
What?
One-
Didi and Castro were middle infield. Right?
both third basemen because one got hurt.
I thought that was on. Oh, Todd Frazier.
Yeah, number 9,
I don't know. What's the last one?
Chase Headley.
Chase Headley.
And then
Go
right
home.
behind Greg Bird, 1 home run behind Greg Bird, the other first baseman that year, Chris Cata.
Oh, that's a sad.
Also-
year.
Jacob, last question before we're gonna wrap this thing up here. We
Yeah,
talked about
we
Didi
should.
Gregorius. I miss Didi. He was
Didi.
a great Yankee.
Best home run
Love
of
him.
recent memory.
Jacob, question: how many languages does Didi Gregorius consider himself fluent in?
Sir
and
Didi.
what are they?
Sir Didi.
Sir
Gregorius.
Didi.
He speaks English. He speaks Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
He speaks.
Dothraki.
Come
Come
on, Jake, there's a given.
Is there answer 3?
The answer is 4.
4. Okay. Well, I got Dutch. That's a
Dutch,
good one.
English. Come on,
Spanish.
thank you.
And is it something ridiculous? Is it like Swahili?
I mean, I don't know. It's
I said Dothraki.
It's considered Pamiento, which is like the ABC islands. So it was kind of like the Aruba, Curacao kind of Caribbean island language native.
Aruba.
But yeah, cool
Could
guy
have
to
that
have in the
one.
locker room. He would straight up translate, dude. Didi would go to the mound and just translate
Yeah.
all the time. It was
Also,
great.
Jacob, guys who hit home runs in 2017 for the Yankees: Jacoby Ellsbury, Clint Frazier, Ronald Torreyes, Austin Romine, Tyler Austin, and G-Man Choi.
G-Man Choi?
Two
He had
jacks.
one, right?
Two jacks.
Can I tell you guys a very quick story in closing?
Very quick story in closing.
All right. So I made this massive trek, 10-hour on the road for the day just to see Truist Park, and I wanted to experience something that was exclusive. So I saw the Hank Aaron Museum, which was amazing. I'll show you guys pictures later. But I wanted to get a piece of food that I could only get there. So I looked up the best food at Truist Park,
Yeah.
and people were saying you have to get the cleanup burger. And so the description of it is, and trust me, I knew what I was getting into. Well, I thought I knew what I was getting into. And the description is 4 patties with a fried egg, golden hash browns, and maple syrup served on a Belgian waffle.
That sounds
So it was a breakfast
good. I'm so
burger.
hungry. I haven't eaten today.
Basically a breakfast burger. Yeah.
Wow.
So in my head, I'm picturing like a circular waffle, not like
Got
a
it.
full-size waffle. I'm picturing like grabbable.
Okay.
And it says it's like $23 online. Like that's really expensive, but whatever, I'll try it. So I go up and I order it, and it comes up as $32 instead of $23. So that
Inflation.
was a shock. No, apparently the guy just mistyped because every other article says 32, not 23.
Continue with your very short story.
Tough. It turns out to be a full-size Belgian waffle, like the size of your plate. I was expecting 4 patties like stacked, but each quarter of the Belgian waffle was its own patty.
Wow.
So it was basically 4 burgers and as many fries. I mean, more fries than I've ever seen in one place, other than Tommy's Chicken Bucket.
Okay,
in
Jacob,
Yankee Stadium.
I'm going to interrupt you.
chicken
You've
bucket.
had the 99, you've had the Judge Burger at Yankee Stadium, and now you've had this breakfast waffle burger. Which is better?
My experience, the Judge Burger, I think a fresh clean-up burger would have been better, but I got a little bit of a soggy one, so I think a fresh
Gotcha.
one would have been better.
Well, I'm glad, Jakey, and I look forward to talking to you more about your vacation and about the game a little bit. But we are going to wrap it
I
up,
need
so
to go
we'll say
eat.
bye to you, and then we'll say bye to our fans. Unless Jake, you got anything else to say before I hang up on you?
No, let's have a Yankees win, and I'm excited to listen to you guys what you said about the Sabres, because that could have been a fun off-season preview. So
And
I'm
you can
excited to hear about it.
Judge Tommy's voice impressions. You know he likes his Bane one a lot.
Wait, Jacob,
so-
wait.
does.
Jake, wait.
I'm not going anywhere. I've got 4.5 hours
Strawberries
left.
are packed with fiber.
All right, Jakey. Well, hey, keep driving safe. We love you. We look forward to talking with you again soon. And
Miss
yeah,
you, Jake.
go
Bye.
Go
Love
Yankees.
you guys.
Goodbye.
You guys got to hang up on me, so love you guys.
I look forward to it. Hey, Jake. One last
Yeah.
question.
I'm here. Yeah.
I just hung up on him.
All right, that's gonna do it for us. Follow us on social media. You know that whole thing. Find us on YouTube and Facebooks and the tweets,
Twitter and
tickety
Instagram.
tokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, find us there because give us a follow. But until
so-
next time, Sabres draft tonight.
Yep, let's see what happens. Yankees play the Athletics again. Hopefully, we
8,
see a
9,
great
10
Sabres
o'clock.
draft, and we hope to see the Yankees beat up on the worst team baseball scene in a decade.
I am hungry.
All right. Well, thank you again for listening. We're signing out from Media One Studio, and we look forward to catching you guys soon. So, Tommy,
Bye bye.
have a good night, buddy.